This is Talking My Walking. I am Rodrigo Ribeiro, just another voice in the wilderness. Today I'm going to talk about idealist realism versus cynicism. In reality, we all are a bit of realists, cynics, and idealists. The combination, the proportion and combination of it can be very different from person to person and changes along our life experiences, of course. So this is the reality of life, and it's important to understand it. But why do we need to talk about, or why is it important to think, to analyze, and to make it part of our lives? Why, in my opinion, idealist realism is important, and why cynicism just is the wrong approach. I mean, it at the individual level, and again, when you have a society where or when our societies are organized the way they are, to promote and private property rights, the pursuit of self-interest as the kind of the highest achievement in life, the highest objective of life, and what talks for you is your banking account. I mean, is how much money you have, how much wealth and property you own. That speaks for you. It's not, nothing else speaks or counts but that. So this is the reality of an existing system that has been shaped, designed and shaped and perfected by those that, of course, control more wealth and more property. This is the reality. What cynics believe usually, it is that the reality is like this. We are not going to change, and therefore we just need to do whatever we need to do in order to survive and eventually thrive. So therefore we should not even think about change anything unless it benefits us. Okay, that's more or less the philosophy of the life philosophy of a cynic. Idealism that is not based in the understanding of human condition and what is possible, what kind of reality, build reality, because human beings live in built realities, in socio-cultural realities, artificial realities. They do not exist in nature. They need to be built, and they need to be anchored in narratives and beliefs and ideals and ideas So therefore there is always ideals, real ideas and ideals, and a set of beliefs, narratives that frame that reality and that shape reality and shape human perception of that reality, shape our perception of that reality. Therefore, there is no human reality that is not idealistic, that is not based on ideas and ideals, okay? Ideas and ideals. There are capitalist ideals, communist ideals, there are Christian ideals. I mean, there are lots of different ideals, okay? But they still ideals. They are not... so ideals are present in our lives. What is important, it is to understand the human condition, not through the lenses of because let me I'm here, okay? I am a almost 65-year-old man that has been born in a country, in a certain in a family, and in a certain social cultural environment and economic, for sure, and that has built my understanding of the world since I was a child, and it goes change throughout my experience, and the idiosyncrasies of my personality and temperament. I have built an identity, socio-cultural identity, that is not independent, that could not exist outside the very environment where I grew up, where my identity was formed, where my language skills were acquired, and therefore what I believe I am, what I believe the human condition is conditioned, and was and still is conditioned by that very environment that shapes, exactly like animals are shaped, their behavior are shaped by the way the skills they acquired, the way they hunt, the survival skills, the way they build nests, or their strategies are in a symbiotic relation with the environment where they live. If you go to a different environment, there is different strategies, there is different perceptions. So it's the same with us. The nature, we cannot understand the nature, the condition of the human beings, or the nature, not the nature, the condition of human beings separated from the environment, because the environment shapes our conditions our the way we behave, the way we adapt, the way we perceive each other, the way we build relations, and everything else. And that, of course, is important to understand, that is related to ideas, to beliefs, to narratives, and ideals. Ideals are always present. They are part of our lives. They are not something that live outside of us. They are part of the culture, they are part of society, they are part of our individual lives. We can call just as any other all the rest that is part of our lives. We need to start by defining the characteristics of what characterizes human beings. Are human beings socio-cultural creatures or not? Then if we are socio-cultural creatures, what does that imply? It means that we cannot survive alone to start with. We could not, as a species, survive alone. And it also means that culture is how we define ourselves. We cannot understand ourselves without culture. Culture is an inherent feature of our condition. It's not a luxury. It's not just appendix. It is at the very core of our condition, which means that it came from our ability. Where does it came from then? Okay, let's put it this way. Where does it came from? It came from our ability to of our ability of creative imagination, and this ability to produce symbolic language, which means that we are able to represent the objects of reality in a symbolic way. Okay, we can say, as you know, we have a tree or a river or the sun or the sky or the light and the dark, and as we all know it, we have so many. There was thousands and thousands of languages, but it doesn't matter. We all have distinct combination of signs or sounds to identify the objects and the relations to. So we had this ability to produce grammar, all right, to make these phrases that have sense and meaning, but it doesn't mean they are factual, and that is one of the most important features of our ability to create symbolic language. It's because we can produce meanings that are new, that are cultural, that have nothing to do with the reality itself, of the reality of the phenomena, of the natural phenomena, but we just make it up. We can make it up intentionally if we have a purpose, like that is another feature of the human condition, which is intention, conscious intention. And that is important to understand too. That's why we need to understand where the cynicism comes from, and why we need to understand that human condition also has the social condition, the social nature of the human condition also have natural deviations, and those deviations can be identified by traits. Okay, that we understand as sociopathic, psychopathic, narcissistic, megalomaniacal traits, which make those people, the people that have those traits or develop those traits. And by the way, our societal paradigm it breeds them. It has a huge influence on. That's why environment is important. This very environment that the cynics believe, or they don't believe. They might believe or not. It depends. But they kind of frame as if we should not try to change them. I mean, we just what we need to be just to take to make our best out of them, to benefit our own interests. And this is exactly why we need to understand that one of the most important points or features or characteristics of the human condition is that these deviations they just are part of our condition. Okay, it's the ones. They are exceptions. They are not the rule, but they are the ones. They are the very dangerous features that allow these people to use the other features of the human condition, such as conscious intention, okay, to build, to create narratives, to manipulate perception, to manufacture consent. And they've been doing it since the dawn, at least since the dawn of the imperialist civilization. Okay, and I define it imperialist civilization because civilization itself is not the problem. Because I mean, we can build cities, okay, or we can settle down in a place. We can have agriculture and all of that, but we still can have an humanized and ecological, or what I call ecological holistic civilization. Okay, it is the imperialistic civilization, which means the civilization based on expansion, on plunder, on on everything, on the characteristics of the deviation, that natural deviation. I call it natural. Maybe people don't agree with that, but I call it natural because if they happen naturally, I just call them the deviations from the norm. Deviations from they are exceptions. But nevertheless, they exist, and therefore, my point is, we have been. This is the understanding of the true, the genuine socio-cultural condition of human beings, with the consciousness and the ability with the creative imagination. It's when we allow the exceptions, which means the small group, or even only one person, that uses these abilities to manipulate the rest of the community or the society through very techniques, fear-mongering, violence, deception, all the characteristics that it's very easy to identify. And we need to understand this in the context of the nature of the human condition in order to understand why realism is important. because then we start to deal with the very condition of the human being in order to understand how can we think, imagine, create, design, and implement what I call ecological holistic civilization. A totally different paradigm, not only ecological, and not an ecological, not only ecological, because I know people. I know that there are already these ideas about an ecological civilization, but people still, they do not want to challenge the existing paradigm. You know, this growthist paradigm, this green capitalistic paradigm, this expansionist paradigm, a never-ending expansion on resource extraction, environmental destruction, and consumerism, rampant consumerism. You know, which means that this is all this is part of the these patterns are part of a sick society, of a sick, dysfunctional society that we need to adapt, because again, going back to the characteristics of the human conditions, our high adaptability, which means that we can condition when we are conditioned by we can adapt to many different circumstances and conditions, both material and legal and cultural, okay, socio-cultural. All right, we can do it because it's the survival, which is also part the survival instinct, which is an instinct that we share with all living creatures, makes us sometimes it just runs above our intellectual ability to understand the reality. So that's we know we should resist, but our need to survive and also our need to protect and be responsible for the survival of of the children of our own family makes us comply with a reality, a systemic reality that we otherwise would resist, and they know it. You know, the ones that are characterized as at least opportunists, but also when someone is an opportunist, a cynical opportunists, that they are in the limbo. They are kind of if they are not sociopathic, they are borderliners. You know, those ones we might not consider them or classify them as sociopaths, but they are in the borderline. So it means that they don't care very much about the consequences of their acts, because what matters most is their objectives and goals. So therefore the ends justify the mediums used to achieve them. My point is, for us, the many, the majority, cynicism doesn't help us. Cynicism is exactly one of the strategies or tactic, whatever, that makes us dismiss to confront reality, first of all to understand it, and then to confront the power structures and to unite and organize, because it's the only way that we, the many, can generate cultural mass to defy the structures of power, to change not magical change, not fictional change, not open change, or make America great again, because it is just the two sides of the same coin, the same capitalistic, imperialistic coin that needs to keep the masses distracted, through deception, because the weapons of mass distraction are also the weapons of mass deception, which means that we need going back, idealist realism is for us one of the tools that we need to train, because again, these tools, these cognitive tools, these are cognitive tools, these are intellectual tools, and which means that they need to be part of the daily information processing, information process or processing, okay, that goes through an analytical sieve that is fact-based sieve, and this needs to be fed in a daily basis if we want or desire to build liberation from inside. Okay, that we slowly, this is a process, a slow process that needs consistency, because our enemies, class enemies, they have consistency. The reason why they have been so successful in demonizing socialism and communism and the state and governments and all that, it is because it's a 50 years at least for this neoliberal totalitarianism, totalitarian theology. Neoliberalism is a totalitarian theology, and they have been very successful because of their consistency, and of course because of the means they have at their disposal. All right, we don't have the means. They have they can pay, they can bribe, they can codify their interests in law. Okay, they can do everything they want, because the inequality, the difference is so huge, and again has been only growing throughout these 5 decades of kind of neoliberal consensus, because this is almost, that is the, as Thatcher said, there is no alternative, okay? That's how we are supposed to perceive this reality, as if there is no alternative, as if there is no society, which is true, because what we have now is not a society. It is how can I say it? It is a system organized, is a social system organized hierarchically, and hierarchically through fractured in in classes that that are becoming more and more divided, you know, and powerless, you know. So the only way, it's not only the only way, but it needs to be part of the way. Idealist realism needs to be part of the strategy of the individual, strategy of ideological cultural liberation, to build immunity against the the process of perception management to manufacture consent, the insidious process of perception management to manufacture consent, that is ubiquitous, okay? It is in so many forms, in so many layers, everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. That's why I say, when people think about the Chinese society and don't understand that in spite of all the differences, civilizational, cultural, and political, okay, differences that separate them from the Western cultural and civilization, the fact is they are being shaped. Their behavior, their habits, their understanding of society, their understanding of human value is being shaped by the same values that have been spread by the Western capitalist imperialist culture. Because I repeat it again and again, the most successful part of the Pax Americana, of the American imperialism, was, and it still is, the cultural imperialism. It has been, it has an influence in every corner of the world, in every class. It transforms people, citizens, into consumers. It commodifies everything, which means we see through the eyes, through the lenses of commodification and convenience. Everywhere, through the pursuit of self-interest. So there is this consensus, this normalization of features that go against the the nature of the human condition. That are only, that this is exactly the features of the deviation, the features sociopathic, psychopathic, narcissistic, and megalomaniacal features of what should be the exception. But it became the rule. And it is so powerful that makes us that is so makes us so alienated, so to live that we that's why it's normal that we feel sick. We feel, and it has, of course, these societal, these characteristics of the system, the existing system, the prevalent existing system, are very successful in exploiting the young minds. You know, that it's to exploit the feelings, the need to belong through commodification, the need to build a personality, a persona through commodification. Okay, that people, young people, from childhood, building their socio-cultural persona, okay, identity, through the process of through commodification, and that builds cynicism again. And that, of course, is a process. Is a cognitive. We just, our implicit long-term memories are built upon these patterns. Okay. So we become cynics against our own individual and collective well-being. Because the pursuit of self-interest is going to be always successful for a minority. For example, 10% of the population. For the professional managerial class. For the upper middle class. For some of the middle class. But the middle class can always be have a setback in spite of what they believe their own self-importance they think they have. These bourgeois, petty bourgeois and bourgeois attitudes and self-perception. So this is how we this is and again, if we do not understand whatever is our reality has processes and systems, we don't understand anything. Doesn't matter. So I will continue this later on. But my point is, or my takeaway would be that we should think, if we want to build a culture of liberation that makes sense of the reality where we live, and what are the alternatives, realistic, pragmatic alternatives that we can around which we can unite and organize. We need idealist realism. We need to be idealists through the lenses of realism. That's what we need to be and do and train. Okay? Thank you for listening. I will be back soon.